In this lesson, we're going to look at building a master slide and how to reopen GoDot and work with GoDot once you've created a file. So the objects for this are reopening GoDot projects, using a master slide, adding images, and then adding textured buttons. We're going to keep this very simple and we're going to kind of progress at a very simple rate. So here we go. So the first thing is we've created this folder. The folder is called Rich and Famous App. Now what you can do with most programs is you can click on this and then open GoDot from here, but you'll find with GoDot you actually can't do this. It's kind of it doesn't work that way. You have to open GoDot first and then go to this file. Okay, so let's just go back one step. So here's the project file, and this is saved in your document under app building project, and I've just called mine Rich and Famous App. So let's open GoDot. Now once again, mine is on desktop, yours will be under the start menu under G. Okay, so open GoDot, and I'll do mine from here. Now when it opens, what you can normally do if you've already got a project set up is you can just double click on here. Now at school we've had a few issues with this, so when people double click it says this is not available, this is an empty one, or they start getting loads and loads of projects here and they're going, well, where have all these come from? None of these are mine. So what I tend to do is the first thing is just remove it. Okay, before I remove it though, I'll just show you that on mine it does work. So if I double click on this, it will take me to the project and all is good. So once it opens, and there you go, there's my first project. But let's just close that because yours will more than likely not be able to do that. So once again, open up GoDot, we get this list. So for you, I just come into this and say remove. Once you've removed all of this list, you're kind of ready to start again. It's a bit faffy, but here we go. So you can just press the scan button, and then from the scan button you can go and locate. So I just press this up arrow, and then yours will be in the document. And remember, you do have to go to the N drive, which is our network drive at school, or if you're on a different school, yours will be called something else. I'm just going to work from my C drive, but you will need to click the N drive here, and then press the up button, and then yours should be in the documents folder. Mine is on the desktop, so I'm just going to click here, and I'm going to head on over to my app building project, and you should do the same. Now once you're here, you're going to get this one here. And all we can do is just click in here and just press select folder. Once we do that, it relaunches it, and now you can double click on this and it will open your project. So a little bit long-winded, but actual fact, once you've got that, it does become a little easier to work with. So let me just set this up again. Sorry about this, it always goes a bit big at this point. And let's just start working with our master page. So we've got our page set up, and I'm just going to zoom in using my middle mouse wheel and then just pan it around using my middle mouse. So we've got our master page set up, and all we're going to do now is just add an image and add some textured buttons. Now this master page will be for every single page, so we're going to link to this one. So really all I want to put here is the navigation. So let's head back over to our folders. So here's my Rich and Famous App. Now when we finish the PowerPoint or the presentation, if I just open it here, you'll notice we did all these pages and then we exported all of these different things, and I've just got a few extra bits for my master page here. So I've created this banner, and I've created just a normal, I've grouped this button here, and I've just called it normal button for houses, and then I've got this hover button for houses, and I've kind of exported these. So if we go to the folder now and we go into my app images, you'll notice that I have all of these as images and exactly what I want it to be. Okay, now in order to work with them in GoDot, all we have to do is grab these images and then drop them into our app folder. So now when I double click on the Rich and Famous App, you'll notice my app images are there. So let me just get rid of this and go back to GoDot. Now GoDot automatically updates and it gives us that folder, so we're ready to work on, and this will automatically update every time we come to it. So whatever you do in this folder here or this folder here, it will automatically update, which is a fantastic feature. And if you want to go into a folder, you just double click on it and you can use any of these. If you want to come out of a folder, you have this double dot folder here which you can click on and go back out of. So the next thing we need to do is add those images to it. Now for most programs you would just click on it. So let's go to my yellow bar, which is the first thing. You would click on it and you would drag, and that would be all you'd need to do. But for GoDot that does cause a few issues later on, so we have to set up a node tree. We've already started our node tree by creating the master, which is Brilliant. So now we just press this little plus button and we're going to add what's called a sprite. So just start typing here and it will come up. Now you have a few different sprites. You have a 3D sprite and you have a 2D sprite, or just a normal sprite. This one here is what we're going to use for the app. Now once you start using them, they will come up in your recent, so you can just click on it here if you want, but all the time they're not there, you can just double click it here and it will add it to the tree. Now you'll notice that it's added to the tree because it indents itself. That's really important for later on. But for now, let's just click on the sprite and let's just grab this yellow banner and go over to where it says texture and where it says null and just drop it onto the null. Once you've done that, it will populate itself here. Now, it does look like it's going to come across as being a bit too big. So from here, get it as close to the position as you want, and then hold down the shift and then just drag it in until it fits onto your canvas. Now, if it doesn't quite go in, like this one doesn't, just zoom in by rolling the mouse button, hold down shift, and then just drag it in just a little bit more, okay? Now, I've got snapping on, so I just need to turn off snapping, which is this button here, and do it again. So scroll in using shift until it matches, and then you can just deselect it, and then we can use the rolling mouse, middle mouse wheel, and hold the mouse button in just to kind of get it back to where we want it. So there we go, we now have our banner. We can say scene and then file save, and then come over to the play button and just make sure it plays, and all being well it will. And there we go, we have our banner inside of it. This is our menu banner. So let's start adding our new buttons. So the next button we want to add is this home button. So let's click on this button here, and we just want to call a textured button. So it might probably be easier if you just say button, to be fair. Let's try that again. There we go. Now there should be a textured button here somewhere, and it's not there. Yes, it is. There it is, the green one here. So double click on the textured button. This will add it to the scene tree. Now what's happened is it's added it to the sprite. That's not what we want. So what we want to do is click it, drag it, and drop it onto this master slide. And now it'll put it directly below. We don't want it to be a parent of the sprite. So we have our textured button, and the same thing here is you're going to get textured options. So here's our textured options, and you have a few different states. So you have normal, which is what it looks like normally, and then you have this hover, which is the one we're going to use. We're not going to worry about press for now, but we're just going to use normal and hover. For this first button, if I double click on this, and I'm just going to call it home button, and while I'm at it, let's just change this sprite to yellow banner, just so we're organized. So here's the normal one. The home button is this blue one here for me. Yours will be whatever yours is. So click, drag, and let's just drop it on this normal. Now I haven't created a hover for this, but I could do by just going back to the PowerPoint, but I'm just going to leave it like that for now. And I'm going to put it in the place that I want it, which is about there. Use the arrow keys just to nudge it until I'm happy. Now let's create another one. So click on the, well, let's make sure we've got the master slide clicked first, otherwise it's going to keep indenting. Now press the plus button and let's add another button. So it has to be a textured button, not a normal button. So the next one we're going to use is going to be houses. So let's just double click on it and let's call it houses. And let's come over to my first state of houses, which is this one here. Oops, just need to open that texture dialog. And we'll go houses, normal. And then we'll click on this one here, which is houses hovered. And that should be us. So they're both there. So let's just move it in place. Now, currently it's slightly too big. So let's just zoom in and pan around. And then once again, we're going to hold down shift and we're going to click and we're going to drag until it goes into the nice position. Now, there's a couple of issues with doing that. It's a bit of a shame, so we might have to just scale that in ever so slightly. So if we come to the scale section, which should be here under the rectangle, and let's just say 0.8 on both of these axes. So under where it says rect, just change this to 0.8 on both axes and then press enter, and there we go, that's a bit better. Let's just now move that, and hopefully that's perfect. There we go, 0.8. Now let's just save that. So scene, save, and press play. And now when we hover over that, we should see that it changes color, which is absolutely great. That's exactly what we wanted. Now I'm going to leave it here, but your mission is to put in the rest of these buttons. They're not going to do anything just yet, but once we code them, they'll go to the individual pages that we want. So get this bar set up, and this is your master page complete then, and then we'll move on to the next one to start rigging up all of the other pages.